Coming up on Mountain News this morning, Governor Andy Beshear gives an update on flood response here in our region and unfortunately the number of deaths the flooding caused as well. And experts give some advice on how to cope with the mental health issues dealing with the disaster can cause as we try to restore parts of our region.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning to you. 6 o'clock on this Friday morning. I'm Dakota Makris. Let's take it over to Cameron for a look at our forecast this morning. And I don't even know why I'm already chuckling.
I don't know what you're laughing at already.
I don't know. You know, it's Friday. I'm in a good mood, so.
I think it's my Wednesday.
Is it your Wednesday?
It's my Wednesday.
Oh, I forgot you have to work Saturday.
I got 2 more days.
It's okay. I'm on call tomorrow, so
okay.
maybe you'll see me. I don't know.
I hope not.
Oh!
No, but this morning forecast looking awesome for the rest of today. We could see a few showers earlier in the morning, but the sunshine is going to return later on today. Here's a live look over at UVA-Wise this morning and a nice sunrise about to start over in that location. We are looking at some dense fog though in some areas, especially over our southern counties. Williamsburg and Jonesville both at 0 visibility this morning, and Harlan sitting at ½ a mile, as well as Monticello. So be sure to give yourself plenty of time as you head out the door this morning. Up on radar, we do have a shower over portions of Logan and Mingo counties in West Virginia. This is all in association with a cold front that is slowly working through the mountains this morning. Current temperatures in the middle 60s for most of us, 65 in Manchester and Pikeville, but check out Clintwood coming in at 59 degrees this morning. And if you are a fan of the below average temperatures, they are going to continue. I have that full forecast coming up in just a little bit. Dakota.
All right, Cameron, thank you. Governor Andy Beshear gave an update on the state's flood response Thursday. The death toll from the flooding is now at 39. That's another death was reported in Breathitt County, but state police say it is not one of the 2 women reported missing. On Wednesday, the governor met with families in Letcher County 2 weeks after the historic flood. Crews are still trying to enter the next phase of recovery. The governor says he sees the response to flooding in 3 phases: emergency, stabilization, and rebuilding. Well, top state officials met in Frankfort Thursday to announce the Kentucky Judicial Commission on Mental Health. Governor Beshear addressed members of all 3 government branches yesterday, saying if the last 2 years have shown us anything, it's that suffering and trauma are real. Well, that's especially true right now. But how can those realities be better handled when they turn up in courtrooms like the one he stood before yesterday? Soon, the Kentucky Judicial Commission on Mental Health hopes to have answers to this question.
This recognition by the Kentucky Supreme Court, bringing so many resources together, is going to go a long way, not just to move people through a justice system, but to get them better.
Commission members will meet for the first time on September 22nd. Well, the tragedies we faced because of the flooding and the cleanup and and rebuilding efforts could negatively affect a person's mental health. We talked with mental health experts about ways we can process as we move forward. Scenes like this are playing out all over eastern Kentucky. Homes no longer standing, many washed away by floodwaters or carried away by creeks and streams.
We're seeing lots of tragedy, lots of folks have experienced trauma, and just being able to vocalize that, especially as we're starting to come to terms with what's happened.
Mental health experts say natural disasters can cause post-traumatic stress disorder symptoms. One doctor I spoke with says a person can actually develop PTSD, saying those impacted by flooding and those helping in recovery efforts can experience depressive or anxious symptoms like flashbacks and difficulty sleeping.
Some people have what we call higher resilience, so they tend to manage stressful situations or trauma better, and they can resolve more quickly. It takes time for everyone after an event.
If you are having a hard time processing the loss of your home or even a loved one, do not be afraid to reach out for help.
What we don't want to do is kind of bottle this up, push it down. There's always the desire to go more and more and more.
But in the weeks and months ahead, that is when experts say flood survivors will experience distressful thoughts.
You want to be on the lookout both for yourself and for folks that you love who might be experiencing psychological distress or utilizing substances in a maladaptive way.
Keeping hope alive as we move forward. Dakota Makris, WYMT Mountain News. Doctors say to make sure you do not keep yourself isolated and try to maintain your normal routine. Well, ARH President and CEO Holly Harris Phillips has confirmed all of ARH's employees have been accounted for since the flood. Well, she also says the hospital chain's family is heartbroken to share 160 of its employees have lost everything. She says they are working to raise money for their employees and wants to share that 100% of the funds raised will go to the families that were heavily impacted. Well, flooding across the region has left homeowners with a lot of cleanup. With the high levels of water, homes are at risk of containing mold in the walls. Mold can have a lasting effect on the condition of your house, and officials recommend taking care of it as soon as possible. Chris Dole, who is the assistant director for the Housing Development Alliance, says to use a wired brush and mold control spray to deal with the issue.
So you do all this, you let it dry out, and then you spray it down one time and you should be good to go.
Well, Dole says to not use bleach and vinegar in an attempt to clean the mold. Well, earlier this week, the nonprofit organization Water with Blessings dropped off its first set of water filters in Perry County. Dr. Cassie Marshall has been working directly with the organization to help get the filters to people in the community who don't have access to clean water. Yesterday, she was in Knott County and provided a filter to a man who has had zero access to clean water besides in bottles since the flood.
I called him and he was immediately very grateful, very thankful. And my friend and I, Heather, we delivered. She also had a new tent and a new air mattress for he and his wife. And we showed him how to use this.
Those with Water with Blessings say they have increased their funding for this project, and they are available to help anyone in Eastern Kentucky without water or access to it. Well, we still do not know exactly how many homes and businesses were destroyed and how many were left homeless. During the course of the last couple of weeks, our reporters have covered many stories of destruction, but more often than not, the stories we have heard are about hope and strength of our mountain people. WYMT Vice President and General Manager Neil Middleton shares a commentary and a poem reflecting on the flooding.
It's been a long, exhausting 2 weeks for so many of you. Those mourning and trying to put their lives back together, for those trying to begin rebuilding, and for those who are helping. The days, the work, the despair, it seems endless. Yet out of the anguish springs forth faith, hope, and the smile of a 4-year-old little girl finding a lucky penny in the mud. A friend of mine shared this poem with me. It's called The Kindly Neighbor, and it's written by Edgar Guest. He's known as the people's poet. I have a kindly neighbor, one who stands beside my gate and chats with me a while, gives me the glory of his radiant smile, and comes at times to help with willing hands. No station, high or rank this man commands. He too must trudge as I the long day's mile, and yet devoid of pomp or gaudy style, he has worth exceeding stocks or lands. To him I go when sorrow's at my door, on him I lean when burdens come my way. Together oft we talk our trials o'er, and there is warmth in each good night we say. We are a region filled with kindly neighbors. Or Buddy Forbes said it so well in a poem he wrote called We Are a Region. We asked Buddy to share his poem here with images from the past 2 weeks. These words are everything.
Already had a few reports of flash flooding across the mountains today. Here is
we are a region dripping. Dripping with the excess water that found its way into the places we once thought safe and dry. Dripping with exhaustion and fear as the work and weight of everything just looks to be too much. Dripping with heartache and dread as the blessings that once overflowed mixed in with the flowing waters. We are a region coated in debris and the scattered remnants of a reality that no longer exists for many of our people. Coated in mud, layers of caked on dirt replacing the foundation of everything so many people worked so hard to build. Coated in a strange awareness that this isn't the first time, and it won't be the last. We are a region overwhelmed. Overwhelmed by the quickness of change and the shortness of life. Overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of the waters that came and the work and worry they left behind. Overwhelmed at the idea of how to move forward. But we also drip of something more. Love, care, empathy, sympathy, and steadfast spirit drip from the bridges and underpinning as help makes its way home. Hope drips from the tired hands of every person who has worked to clean up and move forward, reassured by the reaching hands of those who want to pick up their burdens. And the ugly things that coat us are no match for the beautiful things that cover us. We are coated in quilts of possibility, patched together by our neighbors and friends. We are coated in the armor of safety, knowing the floods of life are never faced alone. It's sometimes hard to tell the difference between gray clouds and silver linings. So finding the good things in all of the tragedy is overwhelming in itself. We are overwhelmed with stories of love thy neighbor and look for the helpers, which show the kind of home we have. We are overwhelmed by boots on the ground as the cavalry of compassion shows the rest of the world a truth that looms above all. We are a region standing.